Andra from the NR Hour Sports Show. This is episode 711 with Jake Storialie from Talkin Yankees, Jomboy Media. You can find him everywhere on Yankee social media. He's big time, and they have a great following and great show for themselves. So I'm really looking forward to this interview. Thanks for joining the show. Truly an honor. How are you and your family doing so far during this year of 2021?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm glad to be joining you. 7-Eleven, man.
Yeah,
That's a big one. I'm
yeah.
excited. I'm here for that. I'm good, man. I moved to New York City right before the pandemic started, so it's been a weird year, but knock on wood, a lot of families healthy, and our business stuff has been going well. So you know, pretty lucky. How are you doing, man?
Good, good. Just hanging in there and just trying to stay active with the workouts. And obviously, we're busy with the show. And unfortunately, hopefully, you get to meet my co-host soon. She couldn't join; she's busy today with Gonzaga. She covers Gonzaga basketball too. And but yeah, it's just we're grateful to be in this position with 711 episodes and just keep growing this show. And Monday, I'm going to the Correctional Officer Academy, so my co-host and some other people will help her out, take over the show, but you guys will still be seeing content when I'm gone. So
Nice.
yeah,
Congrats, man.
thank you. So for you, when did you get interested in the sports industry? And who was that one person that you looked up to while growing up?
Oh man, that's a heavy one, Nathan. I mean, I was always into sports junkie, obsessed. I skipped Nickelodeon as a kid. I was just ESPN. And so I mean, grew up with the dudes. I mean, Stu Scott, SVP, Rich Eisen, like Kenny Mayne, all the Sports Center OGs. Linda Cohn, shout out. I'm friendly. I'm good friends with Linda Cohn's daughter. She grew up in my hometown. So shout out to Linda Cohn and Sammy, her daughter. But yeah, man, I was always into it. I had some fun my senior year of high school and junior year. We on like the local TV network, they were broadcasting the sports games, and I was like, I'd love to do this. So I did a couple volleyball games, and I did a bunch of basketball games, which was a lot of fun because I was really close with the guys on the team. I played freshman basketball with a bunch of them, and they were just my buddies from growing up. So I got to dig up those tapes someday because that was a lot of fun, and I had a lot of jokes going on there. But I didn't think I was going to be able to do it. I grew up in Connecticut, so I was in ESPN's backyard, and it just seemed so daunting. I mean, ESPN, is the king of sports for so long, and the people going on there have master's degrees from Syracuse and stuff like that, and I went to state school in Central Connecticut, so I don't know, it kind of seemed like would have been cool. And if I somehow stumbled into something, and then flash forward, Jimmy, most of you guys probably know him as Jomboy, reached out to me and said, hey, people want a Yankees podcast. I said, sure. I don't know what a podcast is, but if I'm talking to you once a week about the Yankees, sounds like a good time. And then it just snowballed from there, man. I know you've seen a lot of it. Big part of Twitter yourself. So we just built and built, and that's we just leaned in to grow until we got to this point, which is nuts.
Yeah. So speaking of Jimmy and known as John Boy, so how grateful are you that he reached out to you to give you this opportunity? And obviously, you guys are growing big time, and it's just amazing what you guys are doing. But first of all, take me back to the process, the first time he reached out to you, and how grateful are you?
Yeah, man. It was I remember he came out. I was living in Denver at the time, and it was the weekend Clint Frazier hit a walk-off, a young Clint Frazier in 2017. Um, and he brought some mics with them, and Jimmy was always doing something. We go back, well, we go back 15 years, but we go back doing silly content stuff for a decade. I mean, we went to college together, and we did a house Olympics, and he was filming that, and we did all sorts of silly stuff. And then, so the Yankees podcast, he was like, he was just getting active on Yankees Twitter, doing some vids and GIFs. And he said, people want a podcast. So I think he did 3 or 4 solo. And then he's like, this is kind of weird. I'd really love to, bounce stuff off of you. And, we used to always call it the rat and rat, ba, 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 ba. So, yeah, man, I thought, I knew it could have potential to be something. I mean, when Jimmy's driven to something, he goes, and it's awesome. I don't have that. I want to lay on a beach and play golf every day of my life. But until then, this has been incredible. It's awesome. We got a bunch of people that work here now as a media company. Big celebrity, Big Baby David just walked in the room. So, I mean, we got big timers now. So it's awesome, man. We get to have a lot of fun, and, it's evolved so much from a Yankees podcast, but it's a lot better than what I was doing.
So obviously in this industry, it's all about making connections and networking. So for you, obviously you work with, I actually had two of the your fellow members, Keith McPherson on the show and Kyle Condor. So what's it like just building those connections in this industry and working with them on a daily basis?
It's good, man. I mean, we've had to, play things safe with Corona stuff going on. So, unfortunately, I'd love to be seeing those guys a lot more, but, I think the biggest thing is there's whatever, if it's someone doing episode 1 of their podcast, or if it's, people on the Yes Network, Michael K, Jack Curry, whoever it is, Jeff Passan, like everyone's a good person. Like we really haven't bumped into anyone that we're like, I hate them, blah, blah, blah. So I think that's been really cool. And it's, I think a lot of people say don't meet your heroes, that kind of thing. But I think within sports media, if you've got someone you like, reach out to them, because they're probably busy, but they're probably a really good person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, obviously you got to all you guys got to cover the winter meetings throughout the years, and obviously the one you guys were at the one when Garrett Cole when the major signing happened, and I saw your you guys were walking in the background on the TV screen. It was crazy. So what has the experience been for you guys just to cover these winter meetings? And obviously you just said Jeff Passan is a big name out there in baseball, and you guys are well connected with him. So, but just describe the experience though, just covering the winter meetings, the big thing.
Man, winter meetings is awesome. If you're a baseball fan, if you do baseball content, get to winter meetings. And MLB has done kind of a weird job of advertising it, but at the same time, I think it's kind of developed into something they never anticipated. But there's a lot going on there, man. There's a job fair. There's like a baseball merchandise type fair that's really interesting. It's everything from, there's people selling advanced new age analytics stuff to there's people selling blow up inflatables that you'd see at single A baseball games. And that all ties into all the teams are there, all the front offices, all the managers, a lot of the agents, all of the media. And it's this weird baseball mecca that happens for 4 or 5 days, whatever it is. And we've been to 2 or 3 now. We did Vegas.
I think
3?
The Garrett Cole one was San Diego, right? No.
San Diego, yeah. So the Vegas one was kind of weird. To be fair, we were nervous. It was our first one, and we didn't know what we were doing. But it was also a weird layout because Vegas is so spaced out.
Yeah.
The San Diego one, it was perfect. I mean, it was all happening in pretty much one hotel. There was this big hotel lobby bar where you could look around and you saw all these faces of baseball. It was kind of funny, Yankees Red Sox land at the time, and the one corner of the bar was Aaron Boone and the Yankees analytics team. The other corner was Alex Cora and the Red Sox analytics team. And the other joke is anyone whose face you could see is a former player, and if you can't, they're media.
Oh, wow.
Because all the media people are short, and I'm now part of that. So, but it's cool, man. I mean, George Brett's telling stories, Al Leiter's telling stories, and it's I think there's a way that they can continue to grow on winter meetings, and I hope we can grow on winter meetings, man.
Yeah.
I'd love to, winter meetings Saturday night. If we could do a live podcast at a bar or something, like we would kill that. So excited for the next one. Was bummed it got canceled this year, but makes sense.
Yeah. Obviously, Ken. So what's it like being connected with Jeff Pass and Ken Rosenthal and all these other MLB reporters? Obviously, two of the best out there, and you got obviously Lauren Shahadi from MLB Network and all these other women in sports. I'm a big advocate of women in sports, and I love the way that's where it's going for them. But this explain this being connected with those MLB reporters.
It's awesome, man. It's unreal at times. I mean, we had our big announcement yesterday that Chris Rose is joining
Yeah,
Jomboy Media. He's starting a new show. Um,
that's all.
and Jeff Passan, and I was gonna say I'll blow up his spot, but it's actually nice. Passan texted me, Jimmy, and Chris Rose in a group chat, and he was like, "So happy you guys are getting together. You guys are gonna make some awesome content." And for me, again, being a sports junkie, like I played Yahoo Fantasy Baseball for years when Jeff Passan was the nerdy Yahoo writer right out of Syracuse. Um, Second Syracuse drop I've had on here. But it's awesome, man. It's unreal at times. Like my buddies that I grew up playing fantasy baseball with, like the fact that we're like friends with Passan now. It's really cool, man. And he's a good dude. And again, Rosenthal, Buster, like all those guys are those guys for a reason. Like it's not an act. Like they are legit. They're just good people.
Mhm. So speaking of women in sports, what do you like? Obviously, we got Kim Nang as the first female GM in the Marlins, and you got Becky Hammond coached the game this year, and then you have Sarah Fuller being the first female to kick a field goal. So what's it like just seeing the growth of women in sports now?
It's needed. It's needed. I was gonna say it's awesome, but it's not awesome yet, and we need more of it. And I'll say in the world of baseball, because that's what I know best. We're making strides. There's a couple of the hitting coaches, the Yankees and the Red Sox are each getting there, and each organization is starting to move that way. And it's going to be interesting to see where the end game is, and I don't think I'll be alive to see it because I think it's going to be a constant push and pull. But there are so many active females that are in this world and want to be in this world that I think for the next generation and the next generation it's going to be so much better. I mean, you see it on Twitter. There's so many active people that love the game and are trying to get more involved with it, and I think they will. So I think Kim Eng finally, I think her first interview for a GM job was like '05 or '03 or something crazy with the Dodgers.
Mhm.
So I'm hoping she takes the Marlins to new levels. Which, man, that NL East is tough, but
Yeah,
give her a couple years, I believe. And yeah, man, I mean, you just see some of the bad stuff that's happened with Jared Porter and some of the other stuff, and I think some of the people that don't connect the dots in their head is that if we have more women in powerful positions, that stuff will go away.
yeah.
And it's getting to that point, and I hope we do. And man, I just think you hear some of these statements and it's sad. And I the last thing we do at John Boy Media is get political, but I know Kamala Harris, she's the first female vice president. And I think people need to take a step back and think about that. Like the first, like no other female in this country's history. So, whenever you hear that, and Sarah Fuller with Vandy's a great example. Like I hope there's a bunch of little girls ripping 50-yard field goals right now, and we'll see them in the NFL one day. So, you need to see that. And Trevor Plouffe, he's got a little daughter, Isla, who shout out Isla.
Mhm.
And she, they watched Wonder Woman at his house one day, and she was pretending to be a superhero, and just like seeing that and then believing it, it's powerful stuff, man. So we need more of it.
Yeah. So obviously, before we get to the Yankees team, what have you guys learned as a team from the past year? Obviously, all of us went through a lot, yeah, last year with the pandemic, and still going through it. But what have you guys learned from the past year as a team?
Man, I think for us it was, you know, we were bummed out at first as a sports person. There was no sports for the
Yeah.
first time in my life, and that was a weird feeling. It was sad. It sucked. And then you take another step back, and it's I'm healthy, my family's healthy. That's what matters. And then from there, we kind of what were we gonna do, and we made a game plan, and we attacked it. And it wasn't perfect at first. We had to learn and adapt. And it was nervous times, man. I mean, we had just gotten an office. We'd hired people that left other jobs. And where you got to make sure that you got enough
Yeah.
money in the bank to cover some paychecks and things like that. So there's definitely nervous times. And then when we found out we were getting that 60 game season, we basically said we were going to go as hard as we could, and we did. And we ended up doing really well, to the point that we can grow more and we can do more. And um, I think it's making that a plan, believing in it, attacking it. And hard work, man. I know you know it, but there's no replacement for it. Like there really isn't. So we weren't shy to the 12, 14-hour days during that 3 month stretch of baseball this year.
Yeah, that's how I started the show. When the sports shut down, I came up with a way to keep my friends entertained and all these other people that are missing sports. So this I started this show last February, beginning when the pandemic hit. That's when I started the show, and it's growing growing by the minute. So
That's awesome, man. And I think we always have people tweet at us that are like, "Oh, let me know. I'd be great for if you ever want to do talking Cardinals or talking Cubs or whatever it is." And it's like, well, you ever done podcasts? Have you ever done anything? So, kudos to you, man. I mean, 711 episodes, doing anything 711 times is impressive. So, good for you, man.
yeah, thank you. But not only you talk about Yankees, but you guys talk about talking Knicks too, and other stuff, football, basketball. So, what's it like just to expand your brand though into other sports?
Yeah, I think it was a learning curve. We're good at baseball. We're big in baseball right now, and we still have more to do in baseball. We still want to crush baseball. We still haven't gotten our full 162.
Yeah,
So hopefully we get this year and we dominate. So we have some other things going on. I haven't been as active with the Talking Knicks, but Big Baby David, Tom Piccolo, Greg and Campoon. Talking Nets has been going with Keith and
yeah,
Hudson. So, we've got those going on. Talking Giants is starting to pick up some real steam. So, we kind of wanted to stay local. Uh, man, you really got to go for it. Like, there's no middle area. There really isn't. We have a lot of people ask for tips and stuff. And I think even with Talking Knicks, I mean, it would be a lot cooler if the Knicks were a lot better.
yeah,
But we had like a group of buddies that were kind of, let's do something today, and then we won't do something, and it kind of doesn't work like that. Like, you got to be in it. So we've kind of learned that, and I think as we go and we move into more spaces, we just know, like, you need the socials, you need the clips, you need video, you need the podcast, you need all of it to
yeah.
to come together to eventually get to where you want to be. So that's kind of the goal going forward. But we really want to crush baseball this year, and then we think that's going to open up a lot more avenues.
Yeah, hopefully we get to play a full 162 games, and I don't know. I think they're still deciding whether or not. I think the union and I think they're still deciding, right? Or
Yeah, I think they're negotiating some stuff. I think 162 is still on the table. I don't think the the owners have much leverage against that because the other sports are playing, like the NBA's going, the NFL happened. So I think they've come off of that. I think there's still some debates over the DH and playoff stuff. And I mean, if you remember, they announced the playoff stuff right before last season. So who knows, man? We'll find out.
Yeah, so let's get to this Yankee team here real quick. Obviously, I got my Yankees gear on, big Yankee fan too.
So
Yeah, so obviously Garrett Cole headlines the team, obviously in the rotation. What do you like? Obviously, you guys had Jameson Ty on your show, so we'll get to that. But what do you like about Cash's move this year? He's not going overboard. He's making smart signings this year. That's what I like.
yeah, I think something that's always important to know is that, you know, Trevor Bauer, who is the hot name this year, everyone wanted him. You know, the Yankees were going to stay under that luxury tax threshold, and they doing that. You know, Cashman would have loved to sign a lot of free agents, and he couldn't do that. You know, that goes back to the owner. That's every team. So I think that needs to be in the scope of this. So Brian Cashman knew he had to stay under a number. Otherwise, Jim, you know, every GM would love to sign everybody. You know, why not? Go get everyone. So knowing that Cashman had to stay under that number, he did a good job. You know, we feel pretty confident with where our Yankees analysis is at, but you still, you know, we don't consider ourselves experts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we like to have fun and entertain while still being knowledgeable. But you know, we kind of came into this offseason saying, you know, the Yankees obviously need pitching. The only guy that made sense for them to trade really was Ottavino. He had the 1 year left, $9 million. And with the way that bullpen prices are going, you can turn that into cheaper bodies. So they traded Ottavino to the Red Sox, which that was the surprise about it. They re-signed DJ at a cheaper number than I think a lot of Yankee fans thought, but it was for more years.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, Tanaka is sad, huge Tanaka fan.
Yes.
But they got two pitchers. They got Kluber and Tyone. And if one of those guys pans out, good. If both of them pan out, amazing. And, you know, O'Day comes in to replace Otto. They brought in Justin Wilson as well. So all things considered, we'll see what happens with Gardy. But all things considered, Cashman pushed pretty much every button he could. And there's some risk, you know. That Kluber, Tyone both have some risk tied to them, but you know, it feels like they, within the parameters, Cashman did a good job.
Yeah, actually, even the minor league deals they did really good. But Robinson Chirinos, I know that he had the incident on the post game conference back in the playoffs. But all that aside, I think that's a great pickup for us as a backup catcher depth. And also, all my friends were asking me, when did we get Derek Dietrich on the team? Like, what? Everybody said that was a surprise. And that guy, I think this guy could potentially be a Garner replacement, in my opinion.
Yeah, Dietrich, man, it's interesting. He's got a really interesting MLB career. He's got some really good hitting numbers, especially, you know, lefty versus righty. He's played a lot of positions defensively, and yeah, it was very Yankees. They snuck that one in under our nose. I'm in my head, I think he could be Mike Ford's replacement on the bench because Dietrich can play first base while being able to play other positions. You know, no shots fired at 40. He did have a tough year last year, but the Yankees and MLB loves versatility. So I think Dietrich has a real shot to be an impact. Well, we'll see how injuries and everything play out, but he's got a very real shot to be a part of the Yankees this year.
Yeah. So I know you guys had Jameson Ty on your show. I saw the episode, and what was that like, having him on the show and learning his personality, and obviously teammates again with Garrett Cole. So what did he say about being teammates again with Garrett Cole?
He was stoked, man. He was stoked. We like to ask unique questions. You know, while you want to cover your bases, but you know, we obviously want to ask stuff about Cole. So we were, you know, did he get the text when he found out he got traded or whatever it was? And he actually told two awesome stories. He said that while he was rehabbing from Tommy John, that Cole used to text him and like grade him on his like throwing motion in his rehab. And he said, the text used to be paragraphs, and he said, he talked about release and everything, blah, blah, blah. And he said, as he went on and he got better, Garrett's text got smaller and smaller. So that's how he knew he was getting better. And then he told the story. He said, Tyone had heard he was getting traded. But, he was told, family and friends, like, don't share it yet, blah, blah, blah. And he got a call from Garrett Cole. And they kind of did that game of, I think, I don't know what to compare it to, like high school buddies talking about a girl they kissed at prom or something. Like, they're like, so have you heard anything? And then the other one said, have you heard anything? And they basically played a game of chicken until I think Garrett finally said, like, heard you're coming through. And Jameson was like, yeah, man, stoked. So it's cool, man. I mean, those guys played, I think they were in single A or double A together, and then on the Pirates, both really high draft picks. So to see them, both in pinstripes, and if they can both, do their thing this year, that would be huge for the Yankees.
Yeah, so we have I'm sure you know him, my friend James Cleaston from their podcast called The Sports Dudes. He has a question for you. He told me to ask you, what's it like working with Jomboy, Jimmy, and then what's your favorite Yankee moment as a fan?
Man, working with Jimmer's great. He poked his head in a second ago. We're best buds, man. So being able to work together and have fun, we do have to do real work. I think people obviously don't see that because we don't make content out of it, but it's the best, man. It's the best. And favorite Yankees moment, that one's always tough, man. Favorite Yankees moment. This is a weird one for me because the moment, the one that stands out in my head is attached to a Yankees losing team. It's the Diamondback series, and it's when they bullied Byung Kim, and it was like the Yankees had just won, a couple titles in a row, and they were on the fence. That Diamondbacks team, Schilling and Randy Johnson, and then for them to be backs against the walls like that and then just bully him. And I feel, as a kid, I was screaming for the Yankees, but as an adult, you feel bad for Byung Kim. But man, it just felt like, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. We're the Yankees. We're going to win. And then all of that turns on its head in Game 7 with Luis Gonzalez and that blooper. But I don't know. For some reason, that's like, whenever someone asks me that, that's kind of where my brain jumps.
Interesting. So a couple more things here for you. What do you think about obviously they projected the Dodgers to win 105 games this year. So what do you think about our team, and do you think we can win the number 28 this year?
And the Dodgers are going to be really good.
And the Padres too.
Padres are going to be really good. Those teams are going to be fun to play. If I feel like those teams might be cutting into my sleep schedule a little bit this year, but that's all right. Man, the Yankees, and there's this weird mix of Yankee fans. There's the Yankee fans that are always going to be no rationale. We're the Yankees. Let's win it, blah, blah. There's another group of Yankee fans that have kind of been worn out the last 10 years, the last 20 years almost.
Yeah.
And say, like, we're not the Yankees anymore. Like, when are we going to, have this amazing super team, blah, blah, blah. And the Yankees are the best team in the AL right now.
Yeah.
There's an argument for the White Sox. But at the same time, like, let's see it from them, and if it comes down to that, that'd be a hell of a series. They've got pitching. They've got a lineup. The Blue Jays have an awesome lineup. Do they have enough pitching? I don't think so. The Twins, let's see them win a playoff game series. But right now the Yanks are the fave, and it's just the biggest question is, what do they look like come October? Is everyone healthy? Are the big dudes healthy? And is it Cole, Kluber, Tyone? Is it Cole, Severino, Herman? Like, the question marks are there. But some of them will pan out. and the Yankees will probably be the favorites heading in the postseason.
Yeah. Thoughts on the Fernando Tatis Jr. monster contract? Crazy.
Man, good for him. Good for baseball. Let's get these dudes paid. And I think the thing that, you can judge things on the internet. I had people messaging me saying it was a deal for the Padres, that, if he's as good as he can be for those 10 years, 14 years, they're getting a bargain. And I had other people telling me, they're idiots. Why would you give him money yet? Blah, blah, blah. Which, if you're getting both sides of the argument, that means it's normally kind of fair. I was talking to Big Baby David on Wake and Jake about it, and it's kind of funny. I think it's fair. Like, the Padres are taking a little bit of a risk. They didn't have to pay him yet. He still had his control years. But at the same time, if he's as good as he can be and he's as marketable as any MLB athlete since Griffey, then yeah, they're both taking a little bit of a chance. But hey, it's kind of a good chance for both sides. So I really like it.
Mm-hmm. So, all right, do you think Tom Brady is the all-time GOAT in all sports?
Oh man, Brady all-time GOAT. Brady all-time GOAT. That's tough, man. That's tough because no. I like Brady. I'm a fan of Brady. I hung up this silly Buccaneers thing behind me just because they won again. I think he's awesome. I think he had a really good coach. I think he's had really good teams. I think he's the NFL GOAT, or at least the quarterback GOAT. I can't. My head jumps to Jordan, man, and I think I might be brainwashed because the stuff LeBron is still doing is insane, but my head just jumps to Jordan, and I think that's something from my childhood that I don't know if I'll ever be able to shake.
So before we get to the last two things here, me and my co-host Alyssa, we're part of the Hugh Jackson Foundation. Obviously, a former NFL coach. He's trying to get back into coaching, but we're ambassadors for the foundation, and we're trying to help them prevent human trafficking and making sure the community is safe and making sure the kids make the right choices in their lives. So I'll send you the page. So whenever you get a chance, check it out. And it's really inspiring what they're doing, and we're grateful to be part of it.
Awesome.
Yeah. So the last two things here. Do you have any like Kobe memories and Gianna memories throughout your career? Yeah.
Well, I grew up in Connecticut, like I mentioned, so I'm a big UConn basketball fan. Men and women Huskies. I mean, they huge part of my childhood, and so Gianna was getting, there was some UConn talk with her as there is, the UConn gets excited about their basketball. And then Kobe, man, I mean, he's I remember being so sad on that day. I remember finding out, and that just stunk. And then I don't know. I remember watching his was it his last game against the Mavericks? He went for 61 or whatever, and
I think against Utah. I think
Utah. Yeah, it wasn't the Mavericks. I was living in Dallas at the time. And I remember watching that game and just eyes lit up, and it was just Kobe, man. Like, if Kobe wanted to do that, he could. And I was actually thinking about this the other day, and I was like, why did the Kobe thing hurt so bad? Because it really did, like, across our society. And not to get too heavy, but I think everyone kind of wishes they had a little more Kobe in them. Like, I don't think Kobe gets remembered as the GOAT. He might be top 3 as of right now. But man, I was thinking about Jordan, and Jordan had all these, I don't want to say shortcomings, but he was a gambler, and he was he partied hard, and Jordan had some weird things that people weren't into. Kobe was himself, and it worked. And then he did, after basketball, he won didn't he win like an Academy Award or something?
Yeah.
And like,
yep.
Yeah. Kobe just Kobe'd, man, and it's still sad, man.
And he's a big advocate in the WNBA too,
Mm.
women in sports also. And he could have made a bigger difference if he was still alive in the women in sports. Um, but the last thing here, would you like to say anything to all the nurses, doctors, and essential workers right now?
Man, it's I'd start with I can't imagine what that's like every day. A big thank you. I know when things were scary, when we didn't know how it was transmitted, when going to the grocery store was horrifying. Um, I was in New York City. I'd hear the sign. Lived pretty close to a hospital. I'd hear sirens every night, and it was spooky, man. So I can't imagine what that was like as a job, and knowing what you're walking into for a 12-hour shift. So uh, thankful for everyone.
Hmm. Well said. And there it is. That wraps up episode 711 with Talking Jake, Rocky, Storialie. Go find him in all social media formats. Jomboy Media, Talking Yankees, Talking Knicks, everywhere. They're doing a great job. They're big time. And it was truly an honor to have you on the show today. I'll be posting this on all social media formats, and keep up the great work. Let's go Yankees. Chase for 20 has begun. So let's go.
Let's go. Thank you, man. This was fun.
Thank you. Yep. Stay safe.
You too.
Thank you.